Okay, it's 2:05 right now, and we're going to start the session. So if you can all hear me fine, that's wonderful. Okay, my team says good. We are all good to go. Okay, so we'll go into presentation mode where we wait for the slides to come on. All right, a very good afternoon to all our potential students and parents. Welcome to the Diploma in Early Childhood Development and Education talk, and let's load up our backpacks and begin your early childhood journey with NIEC TP. So I'm Ms. Jeannie Ng, the course chair of the Diploma, and I will be sharing with you more about NIEC and the Diploma. If you feel that the early years are important in gaining a head start in life and think that you would like to shape little minds and be part of their education journey, why not start your EC journey, in short, early childhood, that's what we call EC. Why not start your EC journey at the National Institute of Early Childhood Development, in short, NIEC. So I'll be referring to early childhood and using EC, right? Because that's really a mouthful when we talk about early childhood. And I'll also be referring to the diploma as ECDA, right? ECDE, because it stands for Early Childhood Development and Education. So I'm just going to use these acronyms interchangeably throughout the session today. So without further ado, right, let's hear from our director, Mrs. Lok, who has a few words to share with you.
Hello everyone, Mrs. Lok here. You are at an important educational milestone, thinking about what to do post-secondary, thinking of courses and possible career options. Now, if you are warm and caring, if you love being around young children, and if you're curious about how they develop, and if you want to get into a profession that enables you to support their learning and growth, then the EC course is for you. You'll be taught by our lecturers who are EC practitioners and leaders. You'll be well prepared for the EC workplace through our practice-oriented courses. You will pick up values, skills, and knowledge to be great preschool teachers. Our government strongly supports the work of the early childhood sector. The sector is booming. There are good job prospects and ample upgrading opportunities. So happy exploring and all the best for your future.
Right, and that's Mrs. Lok, our director, with her message for all of us. And indeed, the sector is booming. And if you think you fit the bill, you love working with young children and you're interested in nurturing little lives and want to play a part in the young child's early years. So do join us at NIEC TP in this Diploma of Early Childhood Development and Education. So our campus head of NIEC TP, Ms. Dorcas Tang, is here with us today and have a message for all of us. Dorcas, please.
Hi. Thanks, Jeannie. Hello, everyone. My name is Dorcas, and I am the campus head of NIEC TP. So I'm always very excited to share about our early childhood students' experiences in the Poly itself. Okay, so let me start by sharing a few things about Poly. So firstly, the timetable in the Polytechnic is very different from the secondary school. So it can be irregular. Classes and lessons may start and end at different timings, with students having to attend between 2 to 8 hours of face-to-face lessons on different days. There are also days when they have to do home-based learning and days when there are no lessons at all. But that does not mean that they are free to go on those days with no lessons. Those days are meant for students to do their own readings, group discussions, assignments, and make up for lessons that cannot be carried out due to public holidays and other reasons. Also, our students don't stay in one classroom. So for all the modules, they get to move from one place to another and sometimes in different blocks. So we do have dedicated facilities like the exploratory labs for modules like child health, safety, language and literacy, visual arts, etc. The other big change for students coming to Poly is the assignments. Unlike secondary schools and JCs, we do not have examinations. Over here, we have continuous assessments like tests, quizzes, and essays. There are also group assignments in most modules that students have to work together in small groups of 2 to 4. The grading system for our assessments is also different. We use grade point average, or in short, GPA system, and the GPAs are cumulative over a period of 6 semesters in a 3-year course out of a maximum of 4. And of course, one of the most exciting part of our EC course, which is the early childhood course, are the practicums and internships each year, where students are attached to preschools to interact with children, supervised by host teachers and mentors and supported by our own lecturers. That's when they can really see how theories are put into practice. So before I end my session today, I'd like to share with the parents and students out here what are the 3 traits of students who do well in our courses based on our observation. Number 1, passion. Students who thrive in a course usually love children. You can see the spark in their eyes when they talk about children. They are usually very enthusiastic and love the interactions with children during practicum and internship. And we all know that when one is interested in doing something, he or she is always willing to spend a lot of time and effort on that and will usually do well in that. The second trait that we're looking at is discipline. So unlike in secondary schools or JC, where there is a national exam at the end, we have ongoing assessments and the results are cumulative to get the final graduating GPA. So students have to work hard consistently if they want to do well. Last, and I think this is also that's quite important, is your academic ability. Many students have this misconception that the early childhood courses are all about teaching 1, 2, 3 and ABCs, playing with children. But we do want to let you know that they do have practicums and internships where they get to interact and play with children. But they also need to learn to understand and analyze theories or contents before they can apply during practicums and internships. So students do need to have some level of academic ability to complete these assignments. After all, this is still an academic and professional diploma. So parents, we hope we have given you some useful insights. If you know that your child is interested in any of the early childhood course and aspire to be an early childhood educator, do encourage him or her to apply for it. We look forward to welcoming him or her into our course and all the best for the results next week. Back to you, Jenny.
Thank you, Dorcas. It is important for students to select the course based on your interests, and students and parents, you can find out more about the modules taught in the diploma on TPHSS website or NIEC website. Yeah. So before I go into the course details and find out more about what NIEC is about and what the diploma is about, let us first watch a short video clip titled Through Different Eyes. Enjoy.
Huh? What? A copycat? A copywriter copies a person's writing. They copy? That's bad. You must think of your own idea. Treasure does nothing. The treasurer hides treasures in secret places. Inside the treasure have gold. Monies. Golden monies. They carry everything, everywhere, and capture all the bad guy. The sign will say don't run. If they run, then the security guard will say, hey, what are you doing? Don't rush. A teacher teaches students Chinese and mathematics, history, art, English, racing. If we don't have teachers, we don't know how to do anything. Teachers does a lot of things. My teacher helped me with my cuts. He put a bandage. It was very painful. Now it's gone. I also need to listen what my teacher says so I can be clever. Teachers have teachers. Teachers go to school so they can teach their children how to be nice to one another.
It It is indeed interesting, isn't it, to hear the thoughts of the young children and what they think of different occupations, especially what they think of a teacher. I've watched this numerous times, and each time I always go away with a smile. And I hope you had a little laugh over what they have said. And really, teachers go to school. We are the teachers of the future teachers who's going to teach young children. So here, these early childhood teachers receive their training right here at NIEC TP. Now, NIEC is a national training institute that's set up by MOE to train preschool teachers for the early childhood sector. The aim is to provide quality training and professional development for these early childhood educators at every stage of their career. And that means that after you graduate and become a preschool teacher, you can still continue your training and your learning journey by taking courses at NIEC. The following video will provide us a better insight about NIEC, and the Diploma in Early Childhood Development and Education will train us all to be preschool teachers, those students who applied to come into this course. We will continue to train you to be a very engaging and very valuable preschool teacher, and you can then be registered with the Early Childhood Development Agency, in short, ECDA, as preschool teacher upon graduation. So let's watch.
Did you know that the early years are some of the most important years? For many of us, the way we feel, think and learn has a lot to do with our experiences when we were very young. Our early childhood educators have a role to play in that too. At the National Institute of Early Childhood Development, or NIEC, we help mould preschool teachers who can nurture, inspire, educate and care for our little ones. We were set up by the Ministry of Education to uplift the quality of preschool teacher training in Singapore. We are here for the children. Whether you are exploring post-secondary options, looking for a meaningful career change, or already working in a preschool, you're welcome at any of our 4 campuses offering courses for every stage of your journey as an early childhood educator. At NIEC, you will enjoy quality training that is authentic and relevant. You will experience practice-oriented learning, especially through practicums or internships at preschool centres. You will learn in a wider early childhood fraternity across NIEC with cross-campus seminars or electives. You will be in the good hands of our lecturers who come with rich ground experience and have diverse expertise. And if you pursue our certificate or diplomas taught at Ngee Poly, Temasek Poly or ITE, you'll enjoy campus life as a student of NIEC and the Poly or ITE. You may join CCAs, use campus facilities and apply for student support services. But regardless of where you learn, your training will prepare you to play a key role in making a difference in children's lives. At NIEC, we believe that it takes a big heart to shape little minds, and that early childhood educators have the privilege of being one of the first teachers to nurture, inspire, educate and care for every child.
Now, I'm not sure whether you have noticed the different meaning behind NIEC besides National Institute of Early Childhood Development. Right, the early childhood, when we look at the early childhood industry, we would like our teachers to really want to nurture, that's N, inspire, that's I, E, educate, and C, care for young children. So the early childhood industry really need preschool educators with the following qualities: resilience, to be able to work together in the team, right? Have the passion to nurture, inspire, educate, and care for young children. Have a love for learning, because we learn together with the children on different topics and different teams in the preschool centers. And also have empathy for others so that we can also guide our children in the preschool centers to learn to have empathy for one another. So as mentioned in Mrs. Lok's message, there is a growing demand for early childhood educators, and there are expansion of new career tracks such as senior teachers track, curriculum specialists, or even leadership roles. So it is important, all right, that we look at this early childhood industry with anticipation and excitement, because we have support from the government as well, who have invested in spending more than $2 billion to support the sector. In addition, Prime Minister Lee reiterated the importance of preschool education, and this mentioned of the early childhood education in the sector actually highlights the critical role that NIEC is playing to develop EC educators and hence in raising the quality of preschool education in Singapore. And it all begins with us. So the Diploma in Early Childhood Development and Education is available at both Temasek Poly and Ngee Ann Poly campus. Right? The only difference, right, besides the course code T68 and N96 respectively, the only difference would be the electives that we offer at each campus, as well as the environment and the student life that each campus has to offer. So I really like to you to think about, come on to Temasek Poly campus and join us on this exciting journey together with me and my colleagues who is working really hard to train our preschool educators to be, right, for and really to raise the quality of preschool education in Singapore. So we equipped our students to have the foundation in early childhood development, care and education for infants and young children. So students get to experience cross-campus learning electives during your final year. You can get to apply for one cross-campus elective. At this moment, it is drama and preschool education at Ngee Ann Poly campus. Right? If you choose to do that and choose to go and do the cross-campus elective during your final year, by all means apply, and if there's enough vacancies, you get to go over. Right? And the interesting thing is that you also get the opportunity to apply theory, whatever you've learned throughout all your modules. You're able to apply these theories to practice via our practicums and a 6-month internship in the final year. Our practicum happens during year 1, right, where you go for 10 days practicum, currently 10 days at the moment. And then in year 2, right, you go for a 5 weeks practicum where you get to execute and conduct lesson plans and develop very enriching and engaging activities for young children, because by then you have developed all these skills already in your 2 years of studies here at NIEC TP. So by the time you finish your 2nd year and you do your practicum, and then you move on to your final year where you go to another childcare center, this time for a longer period of 6 months, and you'll be receiving a stipend of $700 each month for every month of internship at the center. So at NICTP, we offer our final year students the visual arts track, right, for students who are interested in arts education and to really develop a niche skill set, right, in book illustration and design for young children, in digital and new media, and the 2D and 3D arts. So the electives are offered to final year students, and as part of the graduating requirements, each student is only required to take 2 electives. However, if you like to take a specialized track, in this case, the visual arts track, you see that highlighted in a red box or an orange box. That really means that you take a basket of 3 electives, 1 elective more than the regular student at NICTP. Right? And you get a different certificate. Right? On top of a diploma, you get a certificate in visual arts track. So if you think you have a interest in learning about art, even if you think that you are not so good in art, don't ever think that way, because my colleagues always tell me, nobody is bad at art. It's about a shift. All right, you could change your mindset that come and join us in a very exciting 3 modules that you see right here in that box, the red box over there. All right, and for those of you that art's not for me, then what next? You can choose 2 electives out of the 3 subjects that you see there, like classroom management or early is a glimpse of the visual arts tracks or students working with the art materials in the art studios and setting up their final project. So you can see some of them working with these materials as well as, putting up their presentation for their final project. Yeah. Okay, so this is the art studio, and it has a very beautiful view of the Bedok Reservoir area. So this is actually at block 29A. Okay, so moving on to the next slide. Being an NIEC student, you will enjoy a dual identity as a student of NIEC and TP. And you get to enjoy the same quality of foundational training across the two campuses, same NIAN and TP campus, right? And some of us may be thinking, oh, if I'm an NIEC student, does that mean I do not qualify for Temasek Poly support services and all that? No, you get exactly the same type of services that Temasek Poly has to offer to all her students, right? And you get to experience the vibrant campus life here at TP. We will notice that all the other 4 or 5 polytechnics, they have different environments and so on. So here's a very exciting place to be at, and having the Bedok Reservoir as our backyard, right? So we are very excited to have you guys to join us at NIEC TP. Okay, so if you're curious to find out where our students attend their classes, come check out this little tour that our students have put together. So pardon them, they are amateur tour guides, right? So please take a look at what they have put together for us.
Welcome to the NIEC Temasek Polytechnic campus. I'm Akil.
And I'm Raisa.
We can't wait to show you around the campus so you get to see some of the places we learn in. I'll see you in the first one in a bit.
Okay, sure. I'll walk you guys over there. Let's go. This entire corridor is filled with learning spaces just for us. Classrooms, music rooms, simulated learning corners, and more. I think Akil wants to show you one of his favorite rooms first. Let's go!
Oh, don't mind me. Just a regular day Picasso doing his thing. In NIEC TP, you can take up relevant electives in Year 3 that allow you to specialize in the visual arts track. One of them is 2D and 3D art. This is the 2D art room where most of the class is conducted in. It's equipped with everything we need to learn on how to develop a child's skills in visual arts. It's also got a great view of the surroundings to inspire our budding artists. I think the children I'll be teaching might be better at this than I am.
This is the infant and toddler room, and one thing we learn is routine care. That includes bathing infants. These infant care practice stations are set up just for that. We also learn how to make milk, feed them, and more. Babies require a lot of tender loving care, and our lecturers teach us exactly how to give them that. I try to bring a small towel whenever we learn about bath time in routine care. It can get a bit splashy. Wow, what a day we had!
We hope you enjoyed looking at some of the facilities with us. We really made a difference to our learning.
Speaking of making a difference, there's something preschool teachers do. They make a huge difference in the lives of little children.
You're right. And if that sounds like something that's up your alley, we just might see you in NIEC really soon. Bye-bye!
Well, I hope you enjoyed that little video put together by the students, and I thought it was really fun to see them do that little tour around. I hope that gives you a little insight of our exploratory labs that we have. We have about 6 to 7 rooms there, all dedicated to the lessons that we teach our students, right, for as part of their training. So I've observed how the freshmen developed and mature over time. Right, they gain confidence in their presentation skill and overcoming challenges such as time management, as what Dorcas mentioned earlier about having to navigate the different timetables. It's not as structured as the secondary school timetable anymore. They have challenges in organizing schedules and even to meet the submission deadlines among other school commitments, right? They have CCA, the interest groups, etc., etc. Now, I'd like to take this opportunity then to invite a current Year 1 student. She's a freshman and she's almost towards the tail end of her Year 1 because the school is divided into 2 semesters, and she's, doing her final October semester of her Year 1 right now. So I'd like to invite Cheryl to share with us her experience on TP campus. Hello, Cheryl.
Hello, Miss Jeannie.
Hi, yes, okay, I like that very chirpy vibe that you're giving off today. So share with us, with the audience here today, what are some of your memorable moments as part of a NIEC ACD student?
Okay, sure. So one of my most memorable ACD moments would definitely be the music and movement class we had in campus. Just a little bit of context for all of you. It was a tutorial on how to use props for creative movements for children and how to move around to facilitate that teaching in children. So what we had to do to experiment that theory was to play parachute within the class. So we were split into two groups in the class, and we had to listen very closely to the music, to the lyrics of the song, whether it was up, down, left, right, fast or slow. And the amount of laughters and smile that we had during that day was really memorable for me. So that's my favorite one.
Right, thank you, Cheryl. And for those of us who are clueless about what a parachute is, well, it's not really those kind of parachute that you see our, red lions that jump off the helicopters during National Day Parade, but pretty much it looks like that. It is just a huge round circular piece of cloth that's made of very, very good material, with very different rainbow colored colors, and if you just Google music and movement parachute, you should be able to see that. And the children absolutely love to use this during their classrooms, in the preschool. And if the children love it, the teachers in training, which is Cheryl and her classmates, they absolutely enjoy those activities because probably it's their first time also. Maybe not their first time, maybe they don't remember that when they were in preschool, or maybe they didn't even get that kind of experience when they were in preschool. So now they get a chance to, go back to their young self again and starting to understand how play is so important in children development. Right. So thanks, Cheryl, for that, sharing those moments. Then what about your inspiration? Share with us about your aspirations and, how do you think the training in the diploma can actually help you reach your aspiration?
Okay. My aspiration for me personally would to be a nurturing early childhood educator equipped with the essential skills right after graduation for workforce, right? So thus being an ACD training, it really builds on my practical skills through the various modules offered in TP and NIEC, such as the child health, safety, and social emotional well-being, where you learn about routine care for infants, how to change the diapers, how to prepare milk for them, as well as how to bathe them. And other than that, you also have the aesthetics and creative expression, where we learn about the visual arts as well as the music and movement, which was one of my favorite memories. Besides those hands-on modules, like what Miss Dorcas and Miss Jeannie has shared, we also have the practicum experience every year. So just last year in August, I had my first practicum experience for 9.5 days. It was truly amazing for me personally to be able to put my skills into practice on site and to interact with the children. So I think ACD training really helps me to hone my skills and to refine my theories from there.
Thank you, Cheryl. And I wonder whether I think maybe I didn't mention she was the vice president in our ACD interest group, right? Part of a student body, because we have 600 students currently among the the diploma in early childhood development and education. And so Cheryl herself is the vice president in this interest group, and they constantly try to curate content and provide tips for the current students who actually join them and add them or follow them on the Instagram. And feel free to also follow the ACD interest group Instagram called TP ECDE. So you can take out your phones and look at them. So they created a lot of content. And when she mentioned Practicum 1, her team, her committee at the in the ACD interest group actually came up with tips for their freshmen who were actually going for their Practicum 1 last August. And then we just have our year 2 students who just completed their 5 weeks Practicum 2 just very recently in December. From about mid-November to December is about 5 weeks, and they have completed their Practicum 2 session as well. So Cheryl and her friends in the committee have been always consistently looking for new content to engage and excite the student body in the ECDA diploma. Okay, so thank you, Cheryl, for being so candid and honest with all of us today. So I'd like now to invite our recent graduate, Charlotte, right, who has graduated with a diploma with merit, and she's one of our top scorers. So she's currently working at eBridge Preschool. So Charlotte, please.
Hi.
Hello, Charlotte. Welcome home.
Nice to be back.
Yeah, it's great to see you. So you're working right now. Are you at the center right now?
Yes, yes, I am.
Okay, so thank you for being here with us and, you know, sharing with our audience some of your thoughts and your experience. So share with us your experience working in a preschool center upon graduation. You just graduated in May last year, right? Yeah.
Yes. So I graduated in May. I also started working in the same month. And it's been an exciting journey so far, full of ups and downs. And some skills that helped me in some skills I learned in NICTP that helped me in my work now is being purposeful in creating lesson plans. And through the many practices done with the guidance and comments from lecturers, it really helped me remember important elements in creating lessons for children, even now. And lecturers has also taught me to care for children's holistic growth and not just academics. So having this in mind, I'm more mindful in planning activities and lessons, ensuring that it's not just academic based, but having room for children to play, make mistakes, and engage with one another.
I see. So whatever you have learned in school, right, and you have applied some theories to practice, does internship help you along the way? Does it provide you some key experiences that you remember for life?
So during internship, we were able to really experience and also able to put our theories into practice. So whatever we learn in the center, we were able to, whatever we learn in school, we're able to actually practice it in the center. And this really helped me because being more hands-on, we are able to actually learn, we're actually able to like practice it and learn the different, how to actually put whatever we learn into practice. And also it also helped me understand and also learn and also know what kind of environment I want to work in. Like for example, for my internship, I was at eBridge Preschool, and I'm actually currently here now because I also realized that the different values and the teaching method is aligned with my own values. So being an internship really helped me decide where I want to work and what I want to do now as an early childhood educator.
Yes, indeed. And I do agree that, you know, our NIEC students are very highly sought after, and most of the interns, if they are capable enough and they really are passionate about what they do, right, they often get a job before they even graduate. So, and at some point, some students found their ideal environments to work at because, you know, they are being allocated to the different preschools very randomly, right? Because we cannot just offer them the same preschool throughout the 3 years in their studies. So they get a chance to work in different types of preschool under different organizations. So some of our interns, I believe they found that they have very good working relationship with the teachers there, with the principal of the center, and they really want to continue working as a preschool teacher and advancing in their career at that particular organization. So I'm really happy for you, Charlotte. So really now, maybe you want to share with us a little bit, give us a bit of nuggets, you know, of what student life is like for you at TP campus then.
Okay, so in NIEC TP, we were given many opportunities to participate and volunteer in events as a cohort together with our lecturers. So the lecturers were there to guide us and help us grow as early childhood educators and in our planning of these events as well. So during lessons as well, one of my favorite part was stories and experiences that were shared to help us better understand and learn in the different modules. And there were also many talks and webinars organized, such as career fairs and talks such as these, to help us in different areas, such as deciding what we want to do after graduating and where we wanted to go.
Yeah, I see. So being part of the TP so-called student body that allows you to interact with different groups of people, and perhaps that also put you in good stead in working with different groups and doing group work, right? And then you work with different people, and now you go out to the working world and you learn to work with different teams, people from different ages and experiences and so on. So I wish you all the best. Thank you so much, Charlotte. And I really can see that you do have the potential to be an excellent preschool teacher, and all the best to your future endeavors. Right. Thank you, Charlotte, for being here with us today. Okay. So I believe many of us are also thinking about, okay, so now we have seen, we have heard from Cheryl and we have heard from Charlotte, who is the recent graduate. What are some other opportunities, do we have when we graduate from the diploma? So here you're encouraged to actually head out to work to join the early childhood sector, as we would have prepared you to be workforce ready. Right? However, with further education and training, you may also choose to explore options such as being in a special needs school, or working and developing the curriculum, or even looking into occupational therapy, speech therapy, etc. I have a few alumni who has just touched base with me and shared with me that they are now in SIT, I think somewhere in Clementi or somewhere, that they were doing occupational therapy after working 3 years in the preschool. So they are now pursuing the degree in occupational therapy. So they found their calling in the other arena or the other aspects of early childhood development, right? So feel free to also do the same like them, or you can also choose to further your studies immediately after graduating, although I would personally suggest to start work at least a year or so, then to figure out what exactly you would like to do in your graduate studies, in your undergraduate studies, right? So if you choose to go to SUSS, there will be some advanced standing. And if you are a successful applicant at SUSS, you'll be receiving some advanced standing with regards to the modules and credit units, etc. Okay, so I'm not sure if you have heard of ECDA, the Early Childhood Development Agency. Now we are ECD, the diploma. The only difference between ECD and ECDA is the E and the A have the last letter. But ECDA, of course, is our regulatory board, right? And they regulate the entire early childhood industry, including the training institutes as well. So the Early Childhood Training Award provides course fee sponsorship. So the course will be fully sponsored upon successful application, and then you will get a one-time learning resource grant of $1,050 and a monthly student allowance of $800. So, however, you will need to fulfill a full year bond in an ECDA licensed preschool after you graduate for every year of support received. But I would like you to think of taking this ECDA training award very seriously. If you are very passionate in this field and really want to be an early childhood educator, then there is no harm in really wanting to take this ECDA training award. But if you think, maybe I would like to explore a little bit more, maybe what else can I do? So you could take your time and then apply for this training award at maybe the second or the third year of your education. Okay. All right. So if you take a 3-year training award, that means you, after graduation, you will need to fulfill that 3 years bond in a preschool settings. All right. One thing to highlight here is by your final year, right, by your third year, you also need to ensure that you have a B3 in your O-level English grade or its equivalent, which is the IELTS 7.5, to be certified a level 2 teacher to teach children from 18 months to 6 years old. So this is something that ECDA requires for our graduates, right? Yes, definitely, once you got into the diploma course, you definitely can be a licensed preschool teacher. However, you will need to ensure, right, that your O-level English grade is on par, because our medium of instructions is in English. So you need, in order to raise the quality of preschool education, we need to ensure that our preschool educators get at least a B3 or equivalent. You can find out more on ECDA website or even NIEC website as well on the certification or what level 1 and 2 is all about. So before we end today's talk, let's watch a final video. What does it take to be a preschool educator?
Akina.
Hi, I'm Trishna.
Hi, my name is Sophia. What's your name?
My name is Jaden.
I'm here for the job interview for a preschool teacher.
Yes, I know. Do you know what a preschool teacher does?
A preschool teacher teaches children like you. We will teach them how to talk, how to balance.
We also help to make sure that you eat well and drink lots of water.
So where did you study to become a preschool teacher?
I was working before this and then I joined NIEC.
I studied at NIEC after completing my O-levels.
What have you learned there?
I learned many different ways to teach children to read, count, draw,
understand each other's feelings, as well as something fun. We'll teach them how to balance. When you run, when you walk, it's balancing of the body. Oh, do you know we also learn how to sing and dance? We use different musical instruments like the bells, the tambourine, the maracas, and we create music through that. Do you like games?
Yes.
We play games ourselves. We learn how to teach children how to jump, skip, throw, run zigzag.
We also learn how to make these games safe and fun for everyone.
So what else do you learn?
We learn how to make lessons interesting as well as grab their attention.
For example, I'll use a bell, and when I ring the bell, all the children will turn and look at me. This is one of the ways that we made learning fun for children.
This sensory bag is what we use to teach them writing.
Wow.
Interesting, right?
Very. Do you get to meet children as well?
Yes, I don't just stay in the classroom. I go to different preschools and make friends with children like you. We also go on field trips. We go to the parks or the zoo. We learn about nature, we learn about animals, and we see how we can apply it in the classroom.
Do you take care of babies too?
Some of us do, but taking care of infants is not easy. We have to learn how to feed and bathe infants and how to test the temperature of the milk.
That's more than changing diapers. Sounds very difficult. Did your family ask you to be a teacher?
No, they did not. But I love children and I want to teach them the right values from young.
Are your families excited for you to start school?
Yes. Can my family come to class?
I don't think so.
Then how do they know what I'm doing?
Well, teachers learn how to update your family on how you're doing in class and what's the best way for us to chat with them.
Like using the phone?
Yes, we can use phones, or we can also meet your families in real life.
So, are you ready to be a preschool teacher?
I'm more than ready to. Do I pass the interview?
Do I pass the interview?
Right. So do you pass the interview? Actually, it's very interesting, right? You see the same children, and when we took the video of them, it's really unscripted, and they were, trying their very best to try and understand what it actually takes to be a preschool teacher. And a preschool teacher is really not just about teaching 1, 2, 3s and ABCs like what many people think we do. And definitely we're doing much more than that. And we are doing our very best to uplift the professional image of a preschool teacher, and really all depends on our students and our trainee students, eventually going out to the field. Okay, so now we will be, I hope you had a very interesting time together with me, right? And I had a very good time, introducing about the diploma and NIEC with all of you. And it's time for some questions and answer. And I'd like to invite, let me see, what's the question? Hang on, yeah. Okay. All right, so is the question here? Okay, let me see. Right, someone asked about, someone asked, will people with mental health issues such as depression and anxiety be able to join this course, and will there be any difficulties for them? Right, I think my campus head, Dorcas, will be able to answer that.
Okay, thanks, Ginny. Actually, we don't have enough information at this point itself because this question is rather generic. So we don't have enough information to be able to have a full grasp of, for example, what is the severity of this mental health issue that you just mentioned. So, but we've got many years of, counseling students and even counseling parents. Some of them do bring up this particular question. So usually we will let them know that the reason why they would like to come into this course is because, you would like to make a difference in the lives of children. And for us to take care of children, their safety and well-being is actually our top priority. So if you struggle in your own regulation of your own emotions, or if you tend to black out when the health issue is triggered, or you tend to faint and all that, then you might want to think twice about it, because a lot of times when you're working in a classroom and all that, you tend to be actually in the class with a group of children. So if this mental issue or this health issue that you are facing is actually rather severe, that you would tend to, black out and all that, all of a sudden, you might actually pose certain level of danger to the children that's under your care. And also, as spoken, we have internships and practicum, which requires you to be quite hands-on in applying what you have learned in class. So if your health issue causes you to have excessive anxiety when meeting with new people, when talking to parents, or when working with adults, then this might be a challenge for you too as you're going through the 3-year course. Thanks, Jeannie.
Yes, okay, so I agree with Dorcas, because we do not have exact full details of the medical condition. However, now depression and anxiety has become more and more apparent, and people are taking active steps to cope with it, right? And we do also have students with such mental health condition, and they are coping really well with therapy and so on. And we also do encounter cases like what Dorcas has mentioned with regards to a frequent blackout, because due to panic attacks, frequent or semi-paralysis due to anxiety attacks as well. And that put them as in our students at risk, because they are at the center as well. They may just drop, and then hurt their head, and they are working with young children, and the young children are not able and not equipped to be able to help the so-called teacher intern, or and etc. So that actually put the children at risk too, because they're not sure what's going to happen. They may be running around the classroom and so on. So if you think that yourself or parents with children with depression and anxiety, or any other mental health condition, it'd be good to seek out the psychiatrist or the therapist to find out whether he or she is fit to continue, right? And to be honest, I think all of us have gone through preschool education at some point, or even primary school education, and we all know that faced with different groups of children with different needs, it can get quite overwhelming. But having said that, we have had students, alumni, right, who are very successful right now in the preschool center, and in even doing the degree, who have learned to cope with the anxiety, right? And the depression is on the milder side and not really so severe in that sense. Okay, so I hope that answers the questions. With regards to employability, that's something that I and Dorcas cannot guarantee, right? Because it also, although I said that the sector is booming, again, it really depends on the student or the so-called employees or the applicants' interview skills as well. Okay, so we may say that we need 600, 700 preschool teachers in the sector. However, it really depends on the applicants' interview skills and whether they meet the and aligned with the company's policies and beliefs, etc. Okay, I hope that answers that question. Okay, we have another question. It says here, what are the exact requirements needed to take this course and the subjects needed, etc. Now, this information is a mouthful, and it can be found in the HSS link. If you Google TP HSS, later my colleague will be able to paste that into the chat, right? On the exact page that you can find out on the exact requirements. Now, I just also like to take this opportunity to share about the net aggregate score. For 2021, it's 6 to 15. So we do have students with 0.6, right? 6 points for GCE O level. And we have our last student is someone with 15 points. Yeah. So it's a L1, R2, B2, I think. Right, so those information can be found in the JAE website as well, and as well as TPHSS website. Yeah. Okay, so the next question we have, before we come to an end, I think we can take one or two more. What will we learn from this course? Will what we learn from this course be applicable if you'd like to teach students who are slightly older, such as students in the lower primary school? Okay, Dorcas, over to you.
Okay, so I think usually students who wants to come into this course are actually students who already have an innate so-called motivation to want to teach, to want to be a teacher. Maybe you're not quite sure which is the age group that you are really, really interested in and you really have a passion for. Because some of us might actually really love working with infants or toddlers, those who are still walking around with their diapers. And some of us are very interested in working with children who are in K1 and K2, who are at that stage whereby they can argue, they can debate, and they can negotiate with you. Whereas some of us, we are thinking about, hey, how about primary school, lower primary school children? They're already independent, but yet, they are still not so academic. So for the diploma in early childhood, for this ECDA course, at the end of the graduation point itself, it only qualifies you to be able to teach in preschools and not beyond. So for any graduates who wish to actually join, NIE to teach, the lower primary and all that, you can check in with NIE in terms of their website separately on the admission requirements.
Okay, thank you, Dorcas. So if I might add, there's a module called Child Development 1 and 2. It actually talks about, or you learned about the human development from age from infants all the way up to 7 to 8 years old. So these are basically child development theories that actually transcends across the very early years up to about 7, 8 years old, right? So if that's the answer the question directly, that's that module that you can, perhaps learn a little bit or be in the know, right, with regards to child development for lower primary. And please do feel free, right, to go into NIE website to find out more of their graduates requirements before you sign up, So we do also understand that we have some students, our graduates, who score really good points and they did really, really well in the interview at NIE. NIE. But we also do have engineering students as well as other different school students who actually apply for NIE to be a primary school teacher. So it really depends on your GPA as well as your interview with NIE as well. So do check out their website for admission requirements. Okay. So I think there's no other questions. Is there anyone else before we end the session? We have 3 minutes to go. Okay, so what are some of the challenges that students tend to face when taking up this course? Okay, I'll answer this. I mentioned just now earlier, post-secondary students, often when they come into the poly, first thing they grapple with is new environment, regardless of course. 2, they grapple with figuring out their timetable and what do they do with the empty slots. 3, we have students who are very good in writing. They can write reports and so on. But you ask them to create teaching aids, like, create a poster, create a puppet, create something. They may face difficulty. That depends on your interest and character as well, yeah? Okay, some of them really face difficulty in writing, but they're very good in storytelling. Give them a book, they don't have to practice. Wow, they can read and really engage the audience, young and old alike. But then if you ask them to write an essay, we have difficulty trying to understand what they're trying to say. Okay, so it really depends. There are challenges, right? Following the actual APA format, referencing, writing, right? But all of these are important skills required for tertiary education. And take note, TP and all the different polytechnics, you are entering tertiary education, Institute of Higher Learning. That means you need to learn to write well, to be able to learn to research, do research and find information and piece them together and synthesize this information and give your analysis, etc. So these are some challenges that our students tend to face, regardless of course. They tend to have difficulty in doing that writing. So in terms of diploma, my diploma and the diploma here that we're talking about, some challenges is that some of them are so quiet, they find it difficult to even interact with children at the childcare center. However, that's the whole reason why we allow our or rather we get our students to go out early as year 1, right, to the childcare center and experience getting their feet wet, experience working with young children. So I must say this, select this course only if you feel comfortable working with young children. If you are scared of them, I suggest you go do something else, okay? Right, they are not scary. You look at all the children, you know, in the video I showed you just now, it was just, you know, hilarious and quite funny actually, yeah. But some students actually feel that it was very scary, yeah. Okay, so if you do feel apprehension, you know, apprehensive interacting young children, I suggest you don't take this course. Okay, all right, so I'm glad for those questions that were asked, and it really allows me to just go a little bit more in-depth based, you know, other than the slides that I've shown just now earlier. For more information, please, you can go to our microsite, Claire, right? You can start picking up our school kit, right? For all you need to know being an early childhood educator, the JAE edition. If you're not quick enough to take the QR code, you can just go on to niec.edu.sg. and then you're able to see the link to the JAE website. Okay, and without further ado, I'd like to thank you for your participation and your attention today. Follow us at the NIEC Singapore Instagram, or you can follow the TP ECD Instagram. It's not here, right? You can just write it down, TP ECD Instagram, and that's where our Cheryl and her friends actually man that account, and they create very wonderful content for people around who really wants to find out more about early childhood. So thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you at NIEC soon. Goodbye. Have a good day.